Magnitude 6.9 again, same country after a destructive 7.7. And now this earthquake is close to a dangerous volcanic caldera. So is Shizzy hitting the fizzy, guys? I looked into this for you. You have to hear this. Well, here's your daily earthquake service. The big ones keep coming. Boof, boof, boof. We have to talk about Indonesia today. It just has been hit by another major earthquake, and this one is absolutely strange. I have to tell you, for a completely different reason than what you might think. So the USGS is reporting a magnitude 6.9 directly beneath North Sumatra, only about 7 kilometers, roughly 4 miles from Pematangsiantar. I hope I pronounced that right. We have to look at the depth of this earthquake. USGS puts it at an extraordinary depth. 183 kilometers, that's 114 miles beneath the surface. So we're definitely looking at this. What has ruptured down there? Because at that depth, that completely switches the story of what just happened there. Because despite the size of this earthquake, there was no tsunami warning, USGS loss alert remained green, and the fault that ruptures was not the Great Sumatran Fault that's running across the island. So is this a relief? Are we like, wait a minute, I have to tell you something. The rupture appears to have happened inside the plate that is sinking beneath Sumatra itself. And isn't that weird? We do have these large intraplate earthquakes in the last few weeks all the time. So, I mean, we can say, well, good that it's not the big dangerous subduction zone, but it is kind of strange. And I'm giving you another detail on the map to look at that should caught the attention of all of us. Lake Toba is extremely close. And now you might think, okay, what has the lake to do with this earthquake? Well, first of all, there are two different magnitude numbers circulating right now. USGS reviewed solution is 6.9 at a depth of 183.2 kilometers. Indonesia's BMKG reports magnitude 6.4, placing it at 168 kilometers, 104 miles deep, 11 kilometers southeast of Simalungun. So I want to make clear, if you see that, these two numbers do not mean we have two different earthquakes. There are two agencies calculating the same very deep event with different seismic networks and methods, but the depth is the important part. That's the important part, because if a magnitude 6.9 had ruptured shallow, like 8 miles, 10 kilometers or something like this, below this highly populated part of North Sumatra, this could have been a completely different disaster. And you've seen it, Venezuela, Colombia, yesterday, 7.7 with tsunami. So absolutely crazy. So, but instead of being shallow, it's very deep beneath the island, and that is deeper than the Earth's crust here. So this earthquake appeared inside the descending Indo-Australian Plate, which is basically being forced beneath the Sunda Plate. And that alone already, I think, answers your biggest question. Which fault was this? There is no named surface fault that can simply be pointed to like, this is the normal fault map, this is what it was. This was not a rupture of the Great Sumatran Fault. This is most important. BMKG describes the mechanism as oblique normal faulting, essentially a combination of downward movement and a sideways shear that is occurring inside the subducting slab itself. In other words, the plate that is disappearing beneath Sumatra appears to have fractured here internally under the enormous stress by being pushed down there. And that's very important that we make that distinction, because the Great Sumatran Fault is a shallow crustal fault. So shallow would have been what would have scared us and what would have been catastrophic in this highly populated area. So Great Sumatran Fault runs for a huge distance along the island and is capable of producing very destructive shallow earthquakes. But this earthquake, way, way, way deeper, and then a rupture basically that is starting that deep is not expected basically to tear its way all the way upwards and create a gigantic visible crack across the surface, like something that we've seen in Sicily, Etna, just an earthquake. I'll put it in the end screen, guys. So instead here, the seismic waves had to travel upwards through the mantle and the crust before it was reaching the cities above, and that weakens it enormously, right? That basically produces one of the strangest signatures of deep earthquakes. They can be felt across an enormous area without producing the catastrophic surface shaking that, if you only look at the magnitude alone, 6.9 definitely might suggest, right? If you see that. And that's exactly what happened here today. Strong shaking was reported approximately for 30 seconds in Simalungun, Medan, and Pakpak Barat, shaking lasting about 10 seconds in Tapanuli Tengah. Shaking intensity is estimated at 5. USGS modeling puts roughly, and listen to that number, how many people would have been affected if that thing had been shallow. 10.7 million people in moderate shaking 5, number 5, and another 5.8 million in number 4 shaking. So that means potentially more than 16 million people were exposed to noticeable shaking, despite the source sitting more than 100 miles beneath them. So where's the damage? Is there damage? And thankfully, the depth has made an enormous difference here. We do have, so far I can confirm that, they do not report any major structural damage for this North Sumatra earthquake. Emergency agencies now have personnel assessing the affected areas, and they're checking for damage and casualties right now. So that does not mean, guys, that every building escaped damage. It means there's currently a major difference between saying no major damage has been confirmed and saying there was no damage, right? They're not the same thing. We do have localized cracks, damaged ceilings, masonry failings, problems with weaker buildings, and this can take hours to appear in official reporting. But there's another reason that this earthquake is attracting so much attention. Look at where it happened. The epicenter lies close to Lake Toba, one of the largest volcanic calderas on Earth. So depending on whether we're using the location of the BMKG or the USGS epicenter, the earthquake is only roughly 35 to 50 kilometers, around 22 to 31 miles from the Toba region. And if you see that on a map, that looks alarming, we have to say. But thankfully, if we look at it geologically, the depth tells a different story. Toba is actually a volcanic system in the crust, but the earthquake occurred so deep underneath it, basically inside the descending plate. So thankfully, there's currently no evidence that this was a volcanic earthquake and no evidence that Toba is entering an eruption phase. But guys, the timing, and I know you will ask that, less than 13 hours before this earthquake, Indonesia has already been hit by the devastating magnitude 7.7 Flores earthquake. I'll put it in the end screen. It's extremely tempting to draw a line between the two and say they're connected, but physically they are, I have to say, radically different earthquakes. Flores earthquake was shallow. That's why it was so destructive, roughly 10 to 15 kilometers deep. And it occurred at the, we do know where, the Flores back arc thrust. So North Sumatra earthquake, so much deeper inside the subducting slab. And here's the distance between the epicenters. They're separated by approximately 2,790 kilometers, more than 1,730 miles. So there's currently no evidence that the Flores earthquake directly caused this one. They occurred on an extraordinarily, we have to say, active day in the country, but not on the same fault system. I will keep you updated about all this. And again, check out the videos that I mentioned in the end screen. It's really, really crazy what is going on there. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you there in a second. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.